sector of macroeconomic conditions, it shows they have very few options left, even if it means sinking their relationship with an entire continent. This is what happens when the globally synchronized economic pie just isn't growing. It forgot how to grow. It devolves into every country for itself. And then earlier this past week, the Chinese reported massive trade surpluses, especially with Europe. I mean, monstrous trade imbalances, over $1 trillion in total against the entire world for the first 11 months of 2025. Now, having been accused of dumping excess products on global markets as far back as 2024, China no longer stands accused. They just went out and did it. And the reason is, as I just said, the state of the Chinese economy, and especially its banking sector, they leave the nation very little choice. And wait until you see what they just reported for household loans. It absolutely puts an exclamation point on everything we're talking about here. They have to try to make whatever they can and then try to sell it wherever they can, because the macroeconomic and financial situation in China has definitely taken a turn for the worse. All the recent data that we're getting confirm as much, potentially including another purge right at the top level at the Politburo. So the dire language that's used by the French president in describing their deteriorating economic relationship with China, it actually fits with all these economic and financial and political circumstances.
Wow, this is a lot. So we were watching Eurodollar University. Shout out to that channel. Eurodollar University. Holy smokes, you won't believe what just happened in China. And as you're coming into the room, this is crazy. Europe and China are going to have to become trading partners, and France is reaching out to China like, hey, we need your support, we need your help. France does not view China as an issue the way that America does. France kind of views China like, hey, you guys are the next largest economy. Can you trade with us and help us before Europe completely goes into the darkest winter it's ever seen?
Exactly. Yeah. It's a lot that people. It's crazy. Let me say this. It's crazy that I'll say 5 years ago we wasn't right. So that brings me to a point where you kind of got to change your mind, because it's a lot of things changing, and if you don't adapt to like listening to little or not little, but
these are big things.
Big things. I know it's uncomfortable to listen to because we're not used to it, but once you really start to listen to it, you can start to discern and see where the world is heading. And the world is heading away from America. You get what I'm saying? Because this next century is going to depend on the relationship between the U.S. and China. The U.S., we know the U.S. has a lot of consumers. China has a lot of products. You get what I'm saying? And they just want to export everything.
And they do. Make no mistake, China, there's these Black creators on TikTok, brothers, sisters from America that go to China. They're like showing you 4-bed condo. Oh, it's $500 a month. You know, I came out here, I work. They pay all my rent and utilities. I'm never going back to America. China is already the top dog country.
Yeah.
America just won't admit it. China is already the top dog country, and France knows that. France knows that they can't go to America and say, can you help us? America, one, doesn't have it because they have so much debt. America, two, is not as trustworthy as it used to be between America, France, and those good colonization days, right? Where America and France were working together. They were working with the British Empire. It was a different type of reality back then. People are going to have to come to the understanding you're in a new reality. You're literally at this breach that's going to go into the 2030s that's going to shift everything, not necessarily for the better, depending on where you're at in the world. So it's hugely dependent on, hey, am I still in Western society while all of this is happening and not diversifying?
Yeah, exactly. You have to diversify. The old way is slowly fading away, right? So you just got to adjust. You really got to adjust because things are moving super fast. And if you don't know this information, you're going to be left behind, as we always say. But guys, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you like the video when you come in the room. Leave your comments below. Let us know where you are tuning in from. We really appreciate. You guys doing that? That gives us a
idea.
Yeah.
You know, somebody, when you asked that yesterday on the live, somebody chimed in and said, I'm in Turkey. I was like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's like, wow.
Like, oh, tell me more about what Turkey is like right now. Like, I love the fact that this channel reaches people in Japan and the Philippines, obviously all across Africa, reaches all the countries in Africa. And so that's just something that's really awesome. But again, we are listening to Eurodollar University. Let's continue this video so that we can all understand what's happening and so that you can make informed data-based decisions.
Someone is here, Mauritius.
The trade imbalance with China, quote, unbearable, saying what's at stake now is, quote, a question of life or death for European industry. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen believes the bloc's ties with China, quote, have reached an inflection point. And then we get some further comments from Macron, starting with this. Quote, I'm trying to explain to the Chinese that their trade surplus is untenable, and they are killing their own customers mainly by not importing much from us. Macron warned in his interview that Europe might be forced to slap custom duties on Chinese imports, as the U.S. has done under Donald Trump, and accused Beijing of, quote, hitting the heart of Europe's innovation and industrial model. The numbers at the very least bear out what Macron is charging here. In 2024, according to China's GAC, or General Administration of Customs, the Chinese sent out almost $600 billion worth of goods to the EU and the EUK combined. Less than $300 billion of European stuff came back the other way for a deficit that topped $300 billion US dollars. This year so far, and only through November, mind you, China has exported $643 billion US dollars to the EU and UK, bringing back just $280 billion of imports into China. So the trade imbalance has soared to $360 billion with a month left in 2025 still to go. What no one really wants to say or admit is that China isn't doing this as some grand scheme to take over the global economy. If they were, it would be a clumsy and obvious one. But then again, the Belt and Road Initiative, so you see where that might come from. But that's not what's going on here. China is effed in every way you look at it. The economy inside the country has been on a slow decline for years, led by troubled banks and the real estate bust that has now infected the Chinese consumer economy, the services sector, and it threatens to unleash China's own version of flat beverage. That's because against this backdrop, the situation has taken a turn for the worse this past summer that we've been talking about. And all the data that we're getting from there right now, right on through November, show it wasn't some one-time blip. Just like we get confirmation from the U.S. economy and the labor market job losses and how they weren't some one-off factor that quickly cleared up by October, all the Chinese data and stats all show that what began around May and June is still wreaking havoc with 1 month left to go in the year. So from Beijing's perspective, understanding this was always going to be the great risk that they were facing, of course they chose to dump whatever they could externally on the rest of the world, even if it meant straining and potentially permanently damaging ties with the Europeans or other parts of the world. This isn't geopolitics. It's basic small e economics. China is between a rock and a hard place. They are running their factories as hot as they can for as long as they possibly can. I almost never do ads.
Wow, so this is really showing you the global economic recession that's about to hit in 2026. Like, it's not a secret anymore. It's not something that's like a conspiracy. 2026 to 2030 and beyond are going to be Great Depression years for the entire globe. That's why it's so important that you live somewhere that's affordable, that you live somewhere that has stable residency, stable currency, and is on the up and up, and instead of the down and downs, because China is having their own issues with their housing market. They're not employing a lot of people. And then, you know, China and America both go head to head with AI. So they obviously want to integrate a lot of these robots and things into their society. So what you're heading into is basically a horrible renaissance. It's not a good renaissance where you're going to have robots walking down the street. We're going to have these robots telling you what to do. This is why the global south is so important. And if this escalates, it's not going where you think it is, because most people imagine escalation is just noise or just sirens, explosions, but that's not what's really happening. We are seeing rules and laws and freedom of movement change right under our noses. And if you're listening to this video, understand You are not behind. You are right on time. And that's exactly why the Mature Adult Intensive on December 29th, which has one spot left, exists. Check out the link in the description.
Yes, check out the link in the description, guys, because look, what I heard from that video, right? Um, the superpowers are struggling, and you got to think 2, 3 moves ahead, right? And if you do that, you will realize what's going to be the next suit or that's already the superpower, that's already where they get their resources from to get this AI, to get this technology, right? Someone in the comments or someone in the chat, let me know in the comments which country or nation is going to be the next superpower.
Yes, escalation is going to start in systems, not in bombs dropping. You even see all of these borders closed. The next phase of a lockdown, you're going to see your access narrow down, okay? The World Economic Forum reports, this is going to be crazy, that over 85% of countries are implementing or piloting national digital ID systems. Like 2030, that agenda is full steam ahead, and there's a small remnant few places that you can go that are not as up to par with their technology. This means escalation doesn't begin where people expect it to. It's going to be in the places that quietly decide who gets access and who doesn't. Because in a world where they're looking at World War III, like we were talking about on our previous live yesterday, that you should look at, we were breaking this down like in a people are going to be closing borders. Travel isn't going to really be a thing as much anymore, especially if you're going from the Western Hemisphere to the Southern Hemisphere. From the Western Hemisphere to the Eastern Hemisphere, you're pretty much going to be in your own hemisphere. So if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, then you're going to be staying in the Southern Hemisphere. If you're in the Western Hemisphere, you're probably going to be staying over there because when these missiles, these bombs, and these oil tankers getting captured in Russia and Ukraine, and now France might side with Russia, people stop allowing travel to happen as freely.
Yeah, and someone in the chat said China, but I was I was talking about Africa. Africa's going to be the next superpower because they already get their resources from here in the first place, right? And Africa is starting to unite. Once Africa really unite and start to lock down their borders, as my wife was just mentioning in a way, that's going to be checkmate. They're going to have to bend the knee. They're going to have to bend the knee and be like, okay,
yeah,
we need we need to survive.
Yeah.
You know, so how can China, how can America, how can Europe, how can all these other superpowers or these currencies continue to exist
without Africa? Nobody exists without Africa. Just know that.
So
human history begins with the continent.
Exactly. So that's why we say that's why we say, look, you gotta get them. But yeah, that's why we say you have to you have to get prepared now. You know, there is time to do this, you know, but that time you have to get used to Africa. Africa is just a little bit different from the West, or I'll say a bit different from the West. It's a lot different, to be honest. So this is something that you gotta get used to. You gotta learn how to move around properly. You can't just think like everything's just gonna fall in your lap. No, you really gotta get your boots on the ground and really learn how the local people move, what they do, because you don't want to stand out and be a foreign, especially if this is a long-term move. You get what I'm saying? So this is what we talk about in a mature adult intensive. We be straightforward. You get what I'm saying? We tell you the truth. We break down like what's the most important things that you really need to know, because it's a lot of things changing. This China thing, they're struggling. As we know, America is struggling. As we see, Europe is struggling. They're like they're crabs in a barrel. You get what I'm saying? They're really trying to fight for air. They're trying to, soon as they come up out the water or come up for air, they back down drowning. So you gotta realize, like, dang, is this gonna last forever? Or what is gonna be the next step? What is gonna be the next move? That's why you gotta keep your head down and continue to push forward. You have to adjust to what's going on. Cause it's just gonna get worse. And I know earlier I was talking about how like a century, you get what I'm saying? And I know a lot of people, you know prophecy. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, hmm, although this is happening, you can't just you can't sit on your hands. You can't just sit on your you can't cross your legs, crisscross applesauce and do nothing. You gotta prepare. You really do. You have to prepare now, or it's just gonna be obsolete of what is to come for your life. Like you gotta save your life, you know? Faith without works is dead. You gotta get this work done. Like really. Really, because this agenda 2030 is pretty much already done. I told my wife my wife she does all the deep diving with the 2030. I believe there's a website where you can go to. Oh no, it's the Project 2025, but there's a website that you can go to and see how much they got done in Project 2025, right? So um, the stuff that's happening behind the scenes that you gotta realize what is really going on. Hi, baby. You want to come with me? No. Okay.
Yeah, you're talking about the 2030 agenda. It's like, and it started back in 2020. Just know that it started with the pandemic because Agenda 2030 wasn't just a single switch that just happens overnight. It's a coordination framework that was literally adopted by 193 different countries. You want to say bye, Zakaria? Say hi. Say nothing. It was adopted by 193 countries to align systems around sustainability, digital governance, and economic resilience. But during COVID, 60 plus countries expanded their emergency digital powers. Many never rolled it back. So the infrastructure is already there for the digital IDs. That's why the EU is able to implement it so quickly. Saudi Arabia, Dubai, these heavily tech focused countries, these first world countries are just, it seems like they're flipping a switch, but this has been in, it's been in motion for years now.
Yeah, everything takes time. Everything takes time. You got to change your mindset on what is happening.
Right.
Because it's going to come to pass pretty soon. This, like my wife was just saying, they was doing this in 2020. Now it's starting to finally come to light. So what's happening, and time is speeding up too. Everything takes time, but time is speeding up. You got to realize that. So whatever they say at the beginning of this year, it's probably already happened or is happening now. So whatever they're saying now is probably going to happen in the next couple months. So things are speeding up super fast. It's escalating super quick.
Yeah, and if you're like, okay, so how does this affect me in the next 3 to 5 years? That question is the right starting point for the Mature Adult Intensive, www.journeywithusmovettoafrica.com/services, where we don't talk theory, we talk timelines. Because here's where this escalation is actually going to move first. We're seeing 75% of central banks piloting the CBDCs. Basically all of the Western world, even some of the African continent. This is why we don't just say move anywhere in Africa. There's only about 4 to 5, maybe 7 countries tops that you should even be considering on the continent of Africa. Travel permissions, digital travel credentials, their enforcement is up 40% since 2019. And 2019, 2020 was the lockdown. Think about that. We're not in a pandemic anymore. Or at least if we are, it's a different type of one.
Yeah.
Food and energy. Global food prices and volatility has rose 30% in recent shocks. And information controls. Over 30 new EU digital compliance laws have been proposed in the last 2 years. And so for the people that are like, it's everywhere, listen, that it's 30 new. EU, I don't know if people are aware, the EU is not in Africa. The EU is not in Oceania. The EU is not in the islands of the sea. The EU is Europe and the Western world, period. And so none of this really requires like a war declaration, like, oh my gosh, it's World War III. It's just a justification. That's why it's like, oh, this stuff is happening quickly. It's happening right under your nose.
It's funny that we brought this up yesterday in the live, right? Because I know you're not thinking about this. Okay. I'm gonna blow your mind real quick, guys.
Yeah, probably.
Look, so they're poking the bear, and when I mean they're poking the bear, they're messing with Russia. They just the EU just froze 200 billion assets, pretty much their currency that's held up in the EU, right? To force Russia to come to not be a sovereign nation anymore.
Yeah.
Like that's literally what's happening.
That's literally
right now.
all related.
They're trying to get the whole world to do this.
Yeah.
And Russia is one of those sovereign nations that don't be like, look, no, y'all do that over there, we gonna do this over here.
Yeah.
And they've been doing this ever since what? The Soviet Union, what's the war? World War II. Like, yeah. They've been trying to get Russia to get into the worldly activities.
The type of Western.
Yeah. For a long time. So all of this is going to be tied together. That's why we say the most important part, or the most important information, the most important thing, yes, the code word, thank you. The most important thing is to read your word and understand it, have a discernment to know how your word and what's going on in the world is connected, and how prophecy is going to unfold in real time. Because it's unfolding in real time right now. If you didn't know.
Yeah, and they decided to freeze their 210 billion euros or 246 billion USD in their foreign assets, their forex, permanently, they said.
Yeah, so
it's not even like they can get it back. They said it's basically theft. Like, no, we're just going to hold this here because Russia, like any country, they want to be diversified, hold some EU bonds. They probably hold Japan, they hold China, they probably hold some African countries like Burkina or something like that. But their EU money is permanently frozen. Now, what do you do when you feel like somebody's stealing from you? Like they just keep doing stuff to you. Well, you're going to see in the next 30 to 60 days what Russia decides to do, because they're a very decisive type of people. And so, look, this thing can move fast, very quick. Remember 2020. You had borders closed in just under 72 hours. Just remember, this isn't like in a movie. We all lived through this and saw it in real life. Banking rules changed within days. Remember all those banks were closing back then? Digital compliance scaled within just weeks. And the difference now is the infrastructure is actually already built to do all of that and more, because we're in the AI age, the AI innovation time, which means next time this thing happens, it moves faster, it's swift. That was like the practice period. Now it's like, oh, we know that we can shut everything down. Certain Western systems like, hey, we can shut Russia out. We can shut out whoever. If we get frustrated with West Africa, we feel like we can do what we want with them too. Okay? The real question isn't, is war coming? The actual question is, where will access tighten first, and how fast is it going to tighten? Money, movement, healthcare, residency. If you've worked your whole life to earn peace, the goal is to now protect that peace, okay? But early movers always move different from everybody else. That's why our channel is not for everybody. We have lots and lots of views on this channel, but the work we do behind the scenes is only really for a small remnant type of people that aren't going to chase the headlines, but are instead reading the patterns, that understand they want to secure residency options before enforcement begins to harden. Diversify banking and income access, because the market and the crypto market are choosing countries with slower, and then understanding the difference between legal allowance and practical tolerance. This is the work we do together inside of the Mature Adult Intensive. It is a group coaching of 4 focused sessions over a month, but there's only one spot left because the people in December have been like, oh no, I got to get out. I think what prompted it was it the government shutdown that really had people like this.
Oh, even talking about that, the government is going to shut down again in January, guys.
End of January. They said it.
And I was just going to say this too, because I know you say the crypto market and the stock market is crazy right now.
Mm-hmm.
But we do this, we do this, right? We help our people understand how to take advantage of what's going on right now in this world.
Mm-hmm.
In the stock market.
Even in the decline.
And yeah, even in when it gets bad. Even when it's good.
Yep. In all seasons.
We're trying to move silently. We're not trying to just say, oh, hey. Once you do that, that's, people going to have eyes on it. But these private communities that we have, I'm telling you, is really helping people. It's really healing people. It's really changing people's mind. And that's what we really want in the long run. We want people to heal, change their mind, have peace of mind, have a sound mind, and really grow, because to build a nation, your mindset has to change. You got to understand these systems. You got to understand the information that is put out there.
Yeah.
You got to discern the information that is put out there.
Yeah.
Because it is very, very important. What I just said, like really, it's no more games. It's really getting down to the wire of, hey, look, I gotta change my mind. I gotta learn this. I gotta learn that.
Gotta apply yourself for months and years and years.
Yeah, knowledge is there. Favor is there. It's not, look, it's just a mindset thing.
Absolutely. And something that popped up that I think is funny, this guy, Dr. Austin Lake, so he's literally a doctor, and he posts on, I don't know if this is Twitter or Facebook, but it was then, which matches exactly what we're talking about. He says, then the COVID vaccine is safe and effective. Now, the vaccine has a black box warning, increases chance of cancer, myocarditis, which is actually inflammation and swelling of the heart that would eventually lead to heart failure, and should be taken off the market. So what is happening right now that you are looking like, oh, this is safe and effective right now, that you're going to look back in 2031 and say, oh, that was very bad back then? That's the question that I'd like to leave you with, because a lot of people just go with the masses. They took that thing and they regretted it. A lot of them regretted it. Some aren't even here with us today. And the CDC, what was that guy's name? Fauci. They are now coming out and saying, no, we shouldn't have given it to him. No, like, you just told the whole world to take it. And now you're like, oh, we shouldn't have done it. Like,
yeah, you just can't really trust. You can't really trust anything they say. Like, really, that's why you gotta, have a mind of yourself, have the mind of Yahushua HaMashiach. Really.
Yeah, you gotta think for yourself. You can't go with everybody, because there were a lot of churches promoting it as well. There were people that look like you and I promote. There are things that people promote that may look like us, but their spirits are not the same as us. This is why it's not a skin thing. That's not the point. The point is, are you a critical thinker?
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear the spirit of wisdom? That's it. That's literally it.
Yeah. And do you know how to blend in Egypt? You
That's
get what
a good
I'm saying? Because just yesterday I was helping someone with her bags. It's a client that we had, and she's here in Mauritius, and she had these big old bags, right? And she was taking a taxi, and the taxi was like, And trust me, she's a believer and stuff. She believes in the Most High and Yahuwah, um, and Yahusha. And the taxi was like, "Oh, you doing a lot of Christmas shopping? Oh, Merry Christmas, right?" And I looked at her, I'm thinking that she about to go off on me. I'm like, "Oh no, Christmas. You don't supposed to be so." You get what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of people that if somebody say Merry Christmas to them,
They'll get triggered.
they will get triggered and be like, "Look, Jeremiah 10:2, 10:4. You get what I'm saying? This and this," and try to. But she kept her calm. Yeah. Okay, so that's okay. I knew that was you.
You didn't know her YouTube name? I could have told you.
Dang, you should let me know, man.
I thought you knew that was her. Why are you so funny? Yes, that's her YouTube name.
Okay, hallelujah. Yes, but she kept her calm and she knows how to adjust and keep going. So we kind of had like a side eye conversation, like it's not a big deal. They just don't know, but they will soon. But we just have to keep our head down. We gotta blend in. You get what I'm saying? Because if we stand out a little bit, because we already stand out. You get what I'm saying? We already stand out. But you have to learn how to blend in until that time comes to stand out. So I was telling my wife that yesterday. I was like, yeah, that's good because trust me, we know a lot of people that be like, wow.
But people like that usually end up back in the States.
Yeah.
They usually Americans, because what it is, no matter how you spin it, no matter what you believe, what it is a type of American pride, where you feel like I'm American, I learned X, Y, and Z in America, so y'all shouldn't be doing this. You shouldn't do it this way. You shouldn't do that. And remember, the Messiah didn't move like that.
Yeah.
He had a way about him where people just come to him. He didn't have to force it. Like, he wasn't this aggressive, like that's not what he was doing. If you really read the word, that's not what he was doing at all.
That's why I say you just
he thought differently than everybody. He thought differently than the Pharisees, the Sadducees, who were people of his own nation and tribe that just wanted to lay down the law and wanted to just feel like they had a sense of pride. Yeah. Back then, it would have been like the ancient Israelite pride, but it's just different types of pride.
Yeah.
Pride will land you back in the States, period.
Exactly.
You're going to be prideful and back in America and wondering why you're still there in the collapse. Because when you move abroad, you have to humble yourself.
Yeah.
And understand that people don't think like you, don't even know your life story, don't even understand the history behind America.
Yeah, like truly feel that. Like of course they can read, because I remember we had a brother in Tanzania. He was telling us all the history about America and this and that, and you guys got to change your mind. So a lot of people will get offended with that. A lot of people was getting offended. Remember. Justin?
What did he say? I don't remember.
He was talking to Yaira and it was somebody else. Nothing. He was just he went to university. So of course he had the knowledge, but he didn't feel us. He wasn't there, so he couldn't really understand. Of course you can read about slavery. Of course you can read about Jim Crow, but there's a feeling that comes with that he didn't understand. So it just really gets down to, if you know, you know.
Yeah, that's why Mauritius is so rare as well, now that you say that, because you also have these people, a lot of people don't know this history about Mauritius. You have these people that were taken in the slave trade, brought to Mauritius.
That's good.
These people taken as indentured servants or went through indentured servitude because they didn't have better options in India or in Asia, and were literally dropped in Mauritius for decades. And so it feels that's the really cool thing about Mauritius, is you kind of have this familiarity with the people where you don't, on the African continent, like in sub-Saharan Africa, you don't see that as much because they've known their tribe for so long. But these people, similar to the African American diaspora, Caribbean diaspora, they didn't take that. Mozambique, they could have been from Tanzania, they could have been from Kenya. A lot of them were from India. In India has a lot of different tribes, and so they're just
Australia,
not.
yeah.
They just don't really. Yeah,
Madagascar,
Asia.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely Madagascar.
Yep.
China. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
Indentured servants from China have
Even
been here
Europe.
for decades. Right, the people who were running in the Holocaust ran down to Mauritius.
Yeah.
You would never
It's
know.
the-
We never
yeah.
knew that. They don't teach you that in school. You don't even know what Mauritius is. Like, they don't teach you about that. But it's interesting how like this island has really become a safe haven for all those people that were excluded or black sheeped from their societies.
Mm-hmm. And
You don't get that anywhere else on earth except Seychelles, except this region, the Mascarene Islands.
and the more and more we are here, the more and more I can start to see how I can feel local people more. I can understand them a little bit more. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. But I think that's it. We got a lot of stuff to do.
Yeah.
It's
Real
late.
quick, I know it's a lot of people, or 45
late.
people here. Make sure you like the video. Let us know where you are tuning in from. I know you hear Mauritius now. I know that's your name now. Okay?
I thought you knew that.
I'm like, oh, somebody's here in Mauritius.
I thought you were trying to be funny.
No, I'm serious.
I thought you were like trying to be funny. Like you didn't want to. Yeah.
I was like, I wonder if that is there, but you ain't tell me. So, hey, hallelujah. All praise to the Most. Yeah, like it's really time. Like we really trying to help our people. But
Yes, that about wrap it up. Hit the
Oh.
like button. Check the link in the description. We will talk to you guys later. Let us know what you want us to go live on next time around.
yes.
Okay? Might be tomorrow, might be 3 months from now. Who knows?
Shalom, family.
Shalom.